go through and give them their 10-day notice, we're gonna put them on a maintenance schedule versus just running tickets, trying to run tickets on them every few weeks, you know, 8 inches of grass. By the time we flag them for 8 inches of grass, we, you know, put them on the schedule for cutting. It may take some time to cut, and we start the process all over again. This puts them so that we can coordinate with the ordinance cutter. He puts them on a normal maintenance schedule. He puts the responsibility on the property owners, many of whom don't live in our city. They bought the property, it may be bank-owned, whatever it might be. Puts the responsibility on them to come back and tell us that they are now in possession and are maintaining this property. If not, we're going to keep cutting the grass on a regular basis and keep applying the bill to their bill. And if they don't pay the bill, it goes to tax lien like we do now with any of the ordinance cuts. This will allow ordinance, the grass cutter, and our ordinance officers to actually facilitate a little bit better work product, you know, in the neighborhoods to be a little bit cleaner and result of that, because without that, again, you go 4 to 6 weeks in some cases before you really flag the next cut, and we don't want that in order for us to try to maintain many of these neighborhoods, and most of what I spent was the northeast and northwest sections of Van Born, and you know, you go up and down the street, you got one house that really is just attracting from the entire street, and it's just bad. So we talked with the contractor that we don't necessarily mean just go in there, cut, knock the grass down, leave the bumps. Manicure the property, make it look like it's lifted, make it look like it's habitable. I think John was throwing out the word habitable today. It fits. So make it look like it's habitable, and hopefully keep, you know, that not only from the neighbors, but the vagrants or
squatters,
there.
home invader.
Yes, those people from coming in and taking away. The second ordinance, you know, we can tackle them both together, but the second ordinance is really just related to snow removal that John put together, so that this process would continue through the seasons, so that houses that are vacant, that aren't being kept because the property owners don't live here, once we start the change of the seasons, if we've already got this house on a list, we'll notice them again. We'll send a second notice out to them and say that as of the first snowfall, your responsibility is to clear the snow from your sidewalks and whatnot on the property. If you don't, we will go through and the bill will be applied accordingly. So take a look at both, because I certainly, as far as suggestions, John added some different things, and the police director, you know, him and I talked about. There's some penalties related to the snow removal that he jumped on, because he kind of had to create the snow removal ordinance. We've got some stuff up there somewhere, I'm sure, but not related to kind of maintenance of that property that aren't in here. And we probably should add, which we can do between the first and the second reading, if it's more practical, a administrative fee, a one-time administrative fee versus the ticket. So again, on grass cutting, understanding the difference, we could write 3 tickets on somebody. We've cut the grass 3 times, but by the time we write that 3rd ticket on somebody, they're getting a $650 charge from the city, because it's the 3rd time we've been out there. They haven't maintained the property. And we've only cut the grass 3 times, and that could take the entire season. Here, we put them on a normal maintenance schedule in, say, May, because they haven't kept up the property in the first month, or we knew from last year that they hadn't kept up the property. We put them on a normal maintenance schedule at our rates right now, at, you know, $28 to $35, I think is what is charged based on the size of the lot. I mean, they could go to total 20 weeks, and only as a property owner, they charge $650. With an administrative fee for our overhead and managing that scheduling, manage the coordination and the billing part of it, and then we, you know, I think we got a better result in the product for what we really want. I mean, yes, we want to maintain ordinance, we want to stay on top, but we need to stay on top of the property, and they're not. So that way,
So we were assessing them like a larger fee 3 times a season.
it goes up.
Oh, okay.
It goes up incrementally for each ticket that you receive, so it's your 3rd time that ticket goes up to $650. So, you know, again, versus, but that's for that 3rd ticket, they're reached that point. Here, you could hit that $650 and then cut the grass for 20 weeks of the season.
Yeah,
And,
and help the neighbors.
right.
Okay. All right, so, 6 is the second reading of the fireworks ordinance. Anything on that?
I have a question. Jonathan? Oh. Section 22-101, shall be sold only in structures with functional sprinkler system. That pretty much eliminates the tents. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, that is, correct me if I'm wrong, that's we had a state statute, I believe, that put this section.
I thought I
Mention that
caught
there or
the-
no?
Something gives them rights to sell our tents.
To certain levels, but I mean, at certain levels, they've got to sell out of the permanent structure, whatever, however it was worded. I apologize, I didn't,
There is wording to that effect. As I mentioned the last time we talked about this, the possibility of having one of those tents go up would be genuinely disastrous. They're, obviously, they're on main highways. Which part of this is actually our ordinance?
our, what, I'm sorry?
Our ordinance, the thing we're voting
John, I
on,
apologize, please.
as opposed to state law.
The first part, part 1, the novelty section, is our ordinance. Part 2, the fireworks, is from the state law. And it'll indicate that for you too at the end of each section, if you will. It mentions the state statute, which is 28-452. But part 1 is our ordinance, part 2 had to be rewritten again based upon the state law.
Okay, but both of those sections deal with that, with the permanent fire abatement or whatever term they use.
Yes, it is in the novelty section, correct.
Okay, so that means.
And that, in fact, that one is also affected by the new statute.
Okay. And you would interpret this to mean that tents cannot be used for the sale of these things?
I would, but having said that, John, I will double check and make sure I'm ready to.
Thank you.
Yep,
Double check by what, tomorrow?
by tomorrow. In fact, I'll get something out to you if it'll make you feel easier about it, folks. I'll get it to you first thing in the morning.
And it's the desire that the tents are not acceptable?
Yeah,
Well, our standard is that, I mean,
yeah,